assistant principal called me and told me he didn't think it would be a good idea for to come to school today. That was the bottom line for me.
Alleged rape, self-harm, harassment, the most intimate details of life exposed. Des Moines Public Schools naming the children experiencing it all.
What if this was your child? How would you feel? You would do whatever it takes to keep them safe.
These students looking for relief, their parents hoping that comfort lies in another school district, working to get them out. But finding factors beyond their control are keeping them locked in.
They would not release her because she's the only white girl in her class.
The district stating that in an open enrollment denial letter. Now, students must relive their worst days.
I felt like they failed her.
You're watching Local 5 News.
Imagine being in the situation we just described as a parent, trying to get a fresh start and instead having your child's personal struggles revealed on a public website. It happened and we found it. Local 5's Rachel Droz broke this story 2 weeks ago. Rachel, you have learned much more in the weeks since.
Yes, Stephanie, I have found dozens of denied open enrollment requests. These kids were trying to transfer out of the district, some for safety and some for health reasons. To protect these kids, Local 5 is hiding the identities of them and their parents. One,
his grade he went from straight A's to F.
After another.
I felt like they failed her.
Similar stories from 4 different families, sharing their struggles of getting out of Des Moines Public Schools.
I mean, for me, my child was self-harming himself with razor blades.
This mother, who we're calling Christine, tried transferring her son out of DMPS in 2019.
He just couldn't handle the anxiety that, there was just too many kids, too many situations.
A doctor recommending Christine's son move to a smaller district to help with his anxiety.
They offered to have him go to another middle school within the Des Moines district, but it was our responsibility to get him there. And I said, me and my husband both leave at 6 a.m. We don't have the means to get him to another middle school.
That's when Christine says she realized DMPS wasn't letting her child go.
She said, it doesn't matter if you have a doctor's note or not, we're not releasing him. So we finally had to just build a house and move out of the Des Moines district. That's the only way we could get out.
And Christine isn't alone.
When I didn't get a response back, immediately within 5 days, I packed everybody up and we moved.
This woman, who we're calling Eileen, says her child was being severely harassed.
I mean, these kids that were harassing her even came to our home.
Another mom, who we're calling Samantha, actually started paying for private school.
Or how far is this little girl's anger going to go towards my daughter? I don't know what happened to her after I pressed charges.
Samantha says her daughter was afraid to go to school because she had been assaulted and was being bullied.
She was actually being told at school that if she went back to school, she was going to get it again.
Tonight, Samantha is still working to get her daughter out.
And for high school, I'm requesting it again because how safe is she?
If she doesn't get approved,
I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to pay for high school, which is about $8,000 to $12,000 a year.
But not everyone is able to move or enroll in private school.
The anxiety was so bad for him that he would wake up knowing that he had to go to school and throw up.
These parents, who we're calling Ashley and Robert, requested to move their 3rd grader to a different district. He was suffering from severe anxiety, stress, nightmares, and panic attacks.
It's heart-wrenching to drive your kid to school and see the tears coming from their eyes and just hear the panic in their voice and say, I have a stomachache, I can't go, knowing exactly why he has that stomachache, and still having to tell him, I need you to try to go to school. I need you to try to do this.
Ashley and Robert say the depression and anxiety is a direct result from an incident that happened when their son was in 1st grade, where he was allegedly choked by another student.
He was telling the kid to be quiet, and the kid didn't, because he was going to get their table group in trouble, and that's why the kid choked him.
According to school records, the request was denied because the school has, quote, not been notified about any concerns, and the teacher who witnessed the confrontation did not see the student choke their son. But the parents say what this document says isn't the story they heard.
Even what it says that the teacher says that she didn't see anything, that's not what she told us. And that's not what she told Mr.
In fact, me reading the document to them on the phone, you literally haven't even heard anything from them.
No, I haven't heard anything. The first I heard about it was from your initial text.
Was the first time the family heard about the reason the district denied the request.
And we never got a denial letter or anything or stating, any of what you had read for the denial. We never received any of that.
In total, I spoke to 8 families who had their open enrollment requests denied. All told, DMPS can accommodate their request, but almost all parents I spoke to disagreed with that conclusion.
How are we keeping these kids safe?
Well, Rachel, I just cannot imagine what these families are going through right now with all of this. So what has DMPS said about all of this?
Well, I have made several requests for an interview with Des Moines Public Schools Superintendent Thomas Ahart to ask how these documents got up and learn more about the open enrollment process. Instead, the district continues to just send me statements through emails. A lot of parents, though, are telling me they are very, very frustrated because they feel like they were kept in the dark during this process and didn't hear much from the district until the decision was actually made. And in some instances, like you just heard from parents now, they never heard anything at all.
It's really shocking, Rachel. Thank you so much. We also know the open enrollment process can be tough to navigate for parents. After looking into the process, we still don't have all the answers. Local 5's Ryan Scott breaks down what we do and don't know about applying for open enrollment at DMPS.
Parents need to submit their open enrollment application between July 1st and March 1st to be eligible to enroll the following school year. This goes for both students transferring to another school within the district or to another district entirely. So how do you find out if you've been approved or denied? We don't know. After combing the DMPS open enrollment policies and procedures, nowhere do we see any protocol outlining how soon parents can expect a response of any kind from the district. We do know that if your request is denied, you have 30 days to appeal the decision. For transfers within the school district, 2 things can happen if your request is deemed eligible: automatic approval, or your student's name is added to a randomly generated waiting list for the next school year. Students with siblings already at the requested school get priority. If your application is denied, you must resubmit next year. And if you're trying to transfer out of DMPS, you must submit an application to both DMPS and the requested district. Ryan Scott, Local 5 News, we are Iowa.
And Rachel, just today we heard from the district on how they notify families because, as you heard, we couldn't find it anywhere on their site. They say they mail a letter with the decision the day after a family's case is reviewed, but you are hearing otherwise.
Yeah, I've spoken with 2 different families who never heard if they were approved or denied. The district further outlined their process, saying parents are allowed to provide whatever documentation they think will help their case, and if they want, they can attend school board meetings to testify in person.
It's a process which is sure to frustrate a lot of parents. Moving through the open enrollment process can be challenging in any district, but in Des Moines, there is an extra hurdle, and it all boils down to diversity. Local 5's Elias Johnson explains how the district decides which students get to go where.
Those decisions are based on what Des Moines Public Schools calls its diversity plan. Here's how it works. In Des Moines, there has to be a certain ratio of students in each school who qualify for free and reduced lunch compared to those who don't. The district says having a diversity plan is key for giving kids equal opportunities to learn and grow. Initially, DMPS and schools across the country used only race as their diversity plan metric. But that all changed in 2007 when the Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional. After that, the Iowa Department of Education allowed districts to adopt diversity plans based on more than race, including socioeconomic factors, English language learner status, ethnicity, and race, just as long as race wasn't the only factor. DMPS, one of 5 districts in Iowa with a diversity plan. Theirs uses socioeconomic status of students. So each year, the district determines student demographics to compare how many kids are not eligible for free and reduced lunch. The metric DMPS uses to ensure diversity in schools. That ratio then determines if a school building will allow open enrollment. If a student wants to come into or leave the district, there's a chance they will be denied. That's because the diversity plan requires schools to maintain a certain socioeconomic ratio. The same is true of a student wanting to move to another school within the district. In studio, Elias Johnson, Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
Open enrollment gives parents the option to pick what they think is the best school for their kids, but this policy can come at a cost for schools like DMPS, where we are seeing more students transferring out than transferring in. Here again is Ryan Scott breaking down the most recent information we could find on the district's website.
Now, there's two types of open enrollment: transferring within a district and leaving the district altogether. Over the last 5 years, documents say the district is seeing a rise in both. Today, the district has 554 fewer students than it had 5 years ago because of open enrollment, the largest drop-offs coming the last 3 years. Even accounting for new students coming into the district, overall enrollment is declining. According to the most recent enrollment report, DMPS is down more than 1,100 students from last year alone. Now, keep in mind, this is the year of the pandemic, so parents may be deciding to withdraw students for a number of safety reasons, and some of those students are expected to return to the district next year. Now, that's a big picture. Here's what's happening within the district. In the last 4 years, just over 1,400 students wanted to leave their school and go to another within the district. 38% were approved. This year, right around 350 students applied for a transfer. 59% were approved. It's important to note transfers within the district don't impact state funding. When students leave the district, that's when numbers start to go down. We looked into it and found that DMPS receives right around $7,100 per student from the state on average. So take that and multiply it by the students leaving the district, and the district is looking at losing just north of $8 million in its budget. Reporting in studio, Ryan Scott, Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
All of the reporting you just heard in that story is based on information pulled directly from DMPS website. Earlier today, though, a district spokesperson did tell us that the information on the website may not be fully up to date with the most recent figures. And all of this came onto our radar because of a mistake made by the Des Moines Public School District, and that included revealing the name of an alleged rape victim. We are hearing directly from parents on how they feel about their kids' personal information being published online. Local 5's Rachel Droz tells us why they feel the district didn't handle the situation well.
It's something I didn't expect to find. 7 confidential documents published on the Des Moines Public Schools website. One of them identifying an alleged rape victim. When I told the district about these documents, they were taken down within 30 minutes after being up for almost a year. On them, the names of parents' phone numbers, the names of 28 students, and very personal reasons why they were trying to transfer out of DMPS.
I actually contacted 2 lawyers.
It's no wonder those I talked to on the list.
She was just so nonchalant, like, yep, this happened, sorry, like, that's pretty much it.
Were very upset to hear their information was out there.
It's bad enough that these things happen at school, but to be published online for anyone to see.
Again, we've changed their names so we don't further victimize their children. Parents like Christine, who we introduced you to earlier, say if her son knew about this, he'd be devastated.
I couldn't imagine if somebody got their hands on that information and said something to my son, because that would just put him over the edge. Would he do something where he would try to kill himself, or would he try to fight somebody? Like, I don't know what would happen.
Parents I spoke to wonder, how did a mistake like this even happen?
What else are they going to make public? What else are they going to lie about?
Samantha says the district didn't even tell her everything that was published online.
When they called me to apologize because my information was on there, they told me that the only thing that was on there was my name and her name and my telephone number and the grade level.
That information was there, but so was this. Details on why Samantha wants her daughter out of DMPS and why the request got denied.
I've actually contacted the Iowa Board of Education.
Eileen also says she feels she didn't get the whole story.
They said it immediately got taken down.
But a DMPS spokesperson told me in an email the documents were published for almost a year.
It doesn't surprise me that they weren't on top of it to take it down, or that they even cared. It wasn't until you contacted them and the media is involved that they even
I mean, they have to know what goes up on their website.
Des Moines Public Schools admits the documents should never have been published. A district spokesperson emailed me a statement saying in part, quote, "This was a mistake. Unfortunately, when these documents from the 2019-2020 school year were moved to a folder in our online system, they were not properly flagged to remain private." In an email, the district told me they contacted all but one family whose phone was disconnected. That was February 1st. 3 days later, I spoke to Robert and Ashley, who told me they had no idea about the situation. Just a little background, like I said in the text, it's relating to documents published online. So I'm sure that, has the school district called you by now?
No, they haven't.
I asked Robert and Ashley to check their voicemails and emails, but they tell me there was nothing from the district explaining anything about these documents being published.
Even if we don't answer our phones, we still listen to every single voicemail, and no, there's been nothing of the sort. There's been no emails. I don't delete my emails, so I went back through them when my wife told me there's nothing there.
The district didn't tell me what specific family they couldn't reach, but I know Robert and Ashley's phone was working because the number listed on the documents was the one I called. There was one number listed on those documents that was disconnected when I tried to call 2 weeks ago. That was the parent of the alleged rape victim, identified by DMPS. Stephanie, back to you.
Well, the concern about those documents being public, especially an alleged rape victim identified, making its way to lawmakers at the State House, dumbfounding them. We continue our coverage of families whose private, personal stories were shared for all to find. It may have broken the law and cost DMPS federal funding. The attorney who brought these documents to Local 5's attention claims DMPS violated what's called FERPA. It's the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, protecting students' education records. Under this law, schools need parents' permission to release information from their students' records. Now, not all information is protected. Directory information like a student's name, address, phone number, and date of birth, all of that can be shared without consent. The same day Local 5 broke the news, lawmakers expressed their anger on the floor of the Iowa Senate. Senator Brad Zahn of Ankeny saying DMPS should have never denied an alleged rape victim's request to leave the district.
It disgusts me. I cannot believe this happened. I am suggesting to the residents of Des Moines to demand a resignation of their superintendent, Thomas Earhart. The school board needs to be replaced. The only way you can replace them is at the ballot box. I have never been so mad.
Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers are working to remove voluntary diversity plans from even factoring into open enrollment decisions. One such bill already passed the Iowa Senate, 26-21. Another bill originating in the Iowa House passed just last week, 56-32. Now both bills must pass the other chamber. Many organizations have declared they're against both or one of those bills, like the ACLU of Iowa, Area Education Agencies of Iowa, the NAACP, Iowa Safe Schools, and the Iowa State Education Association. ISEA says students thrive when they learn in diverse and inclusive environments, and a diversity plan strengthens the school district by working to prevent segregation of all types, including income or socioeconomic-based segregation. We'll be right back with a look at what's to come. And we have found more documents of students' information exposed. Rachel, too many to fit in our half-hour newscast.
Yeah, that's right. Just yesterday, actually, I found more names, documents which appear to violate privacy laws. We'll continue to update everyone at home in the coming weeks as we learn more.
Rachel, heartbreaking stories tonight. Thanks for your reporting. And for everyone at home, we'll see you at 10.